I feel like a crazy person right now. I'm wired up to the gills. I got the they're floating around. They're like little flappers coming up in here. It's already like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm ready to get mock draft. And I want to get another mock draft going, but I figured let's slow it down. We got Dane Brugler of the Athletic. You know how it comes, and it's suiting, right? The burglar. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, not 5 o'clock in the morning. Where's Wiz Khalifa and all that jam? But we got a mock draft to go for. It's 2 rounds. It's Dane Brugler. It's March. It's getting serious out here. So let's bring the vibes. Will David Bailey and Jeremiah Love join Fernando Mendoza in the top 5? Or coming this theaters in April, let's go. Illustration from Demetrius Robinson. Banging. You like my little movie voice action? Speaking of which, TurboTax, they're coming at you. They charge extra. Dude, TurboTax is so expensive. I'd rather just tax evade at this point. I know now you got me on video saying that too. I'm sure the IRS is gonna be knocking at my door really soon. SWAT team, the SWAT cats. Now this is taxes. I'm not learning more. Do not click that button. Raiders at number 1. It's Fernando Mendoza. Is there any other route to go? Hold on, let me zoom in a little bit. My eyesight ain't what it used to be. I got those visions, those little goggles on here. Where are my goggles by Zano? On with this next pick, because we know that is the clear and cut dry need area that I don't see yet. Foregone conclusion. That's pretty self-explanatory. New York Jets. Get on topic, G-Sling. Come on, I got to focus. Stop talking about myself in third person. New York Jets. Arvell Reese. Edge rusher from the Ohio State University. We need some talent. We need some help. Arvell's the guy. He's got that Oral Redenbacher in him. That popcorn-making machine. We need somebody popping off the edge for Aaron Glenn, who needs some popping off in his defense this season to create some interceptions, some turnovers. I don't know what that looks like as a Jets fan, but I like it. He's a freak show, right? He's a freak show in a good way, of course. And I love a good freak, right? And you talk about The Greatest Showman or all those. I mean, who doesn't love a good freak, right? I mean, hey, if you can be a freak, that's a great thing. On to the Arizona Cardinals. Francis Maui Noah. I told you 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm getting slap happy. Francis Maui Noah, in terms of NFL ceiling, Maui Noah may not be at the level of past number 3 picks, but this is a different draft. Here comes the movie voice again. Now get ready. And brings a high floor. One would immersively upgrade. Now we got Batman voice. Cardinals right tackle spot. I like this pick. I mean, ideally, maybe you can trade down a little bit. And of course, like that, when you say trade down, I guess everybody's trying to trade down, right? I mean, who really is mad as a fan about a trade down? Dang it, we traded down? I wanted to trade up. I don't want draft picks. I want to give up all our draft capital. How could you do this to me, man? I'm so mad. We got extra picks. It's like you go into Toys R Us. You gave me $50. I just wanted $5. But Francis Manoa makes a ton of sense here. If they can't trade down, I also could see them just straight up taking an edge rusher because it's BPA and saying, hey, Ruben Bain's the top player on our board at this point, or Sonny Styles, or those are real possibilities too. But Maui is a great football player and a big, expensive positioning. Jeremiah Love. I am not going to say I loved it. I technically just did, but yes, this is a good pick. I do like this pick, and there we go. I'm holding off on that. I'm trying to keep myself wired down. Titans get themselves just basically the best playmaker in this case scenario, and Dane has them as the best player in the draft. It just comes down to your overall impact value, your whether or not you take a running back here at number 4 overall and all those sort of things. But with where we're at right now, running backs are starting to get paid more and more, and we'll see what Kenneth Walker ends up getting. And I think we're going to really find out how valuable running back is this offseason with Kenneth Walker. Will he get paid like $15+ million? That's going to really shift to some of the demand, right? The supply and demands. I did minor in econ and I don't remember any of it. I got business management economics from Kelly, and I'll tell you right now, I don't ever want to go into management. I'll just be real. I don't know. Sometimes isn't that ironic? Your degree, you go and do your degree and you're like, I never want to do this ever again. Like I've always told myself, if I ever get a promotion, I'm going to turn it down. Will I finally get that big promotion? No, that's a good classic commercial. If you've seen that, was a Super Bowl commercial. But Jeremiah Love here certainly would be a fun pick for them. I mean, I still like Mekhi Lemon there. It just kind of comes down to, do you feel like, he's the better player and this and that? But I have no problem with that. We go on to the Giants here, and they're going with Sonny Styles for much of the season and pre-draft process. I felt like I had to convince myself of the doubters on why Styles deserves to be a top 10 pick. Well, yeah, the skeptics have disappeared. He's an absolute rock star. I mean, his film is so good. I completely agree with Dane. It's not like this is something where he's just like, oh my gosh, he's an athletic freak, but his film doesn't line up. His film is excellent. And now it just proves that he is a freak athlete, a one of one type of athlete, right? This is a Megatron of the linebacker position level of athlete. So taking him here at 5 for the Giants and getting that cornerstone player. And you talk about a guy that you listen to and you're like, yep, boxes are checked. This guy is going to help your locker room. All right. He's going to be a very, very good player on and off the field type of guy. And not to say that against these other guys or anything like that. It's hard. You got to meet these people and everybody's different and all those sort of things. Everybody's got different personalities. But I think Sonny Styles is going to be an absolute great football player and a great person to have on your football team in general. But this is all that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, phenomenal. That's how I would sum it up there. Cleveland, Spencer Fanu, easily the best O lineman without this workout. He was so fantastic the way he looked. Yes, the shorter arms are going to be something that has to be interpreted by each team. And for the Browns, they just need good offensive linemen. Whether he's a guard, a center, it really doesn't matter. They could use a versatile offensive lineman too for that Browns offensive line. They just need good football players up on that front to help out Shedeur Sanders and this offense in general. So this makes a whole ton of sense to me. This is an A+ type of move. Move on, right? Move on. Move. Go get your peanuts. Go grab your bag. It's out of the park. Commanders, David Bailey, the edge rusher from Texas Tech, getting themselves that storming, trooping, pass rushing specialist that brings some juice and some dynamic, the lemon squeeze off the edge that they desperately need for sure. Whether you like lemon in your drinks or not, I'm not really a lemon guy, but that's okay. I like Mackay lemon, but lemon in the drink, I don't know, a little sharp, a little strong. Mackay Bailey, David Bailey would be a really good pick here for the Commanders. I also like Mackay Lemon, depending on what they do with free agency at the wide receiver position. Caleb Downs in play here. If Sonny Styles is available, he's in play. All of those areas. Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, got to figure it out. But get that violence off the edge. The violence. New Orleans Saints, Cardell Tate, wide receiver from the Ohio State University. He clocked a 4.53. He's slow. 4.35. Yeah, okay, that'd be crazy. But 4.53. He's slow. He's gonna drop that. No, he's still a really good football player. I'm not shocked by him running that range. And if you look at the best wide receivers throughout history, they ran 4.5, 4.6s. I mean, Jerry Rice ran a 4.6, but nobody could catch him in pads. Carnell Tate, I don't see any issues. I'm not worried about the speed. Saying he's a great wide receiver. He's from the Ohio State University, so you can helmet scout that as well. Just make it easy. My scouting notes, this is what it says. His name's Carnell Tate. Okay, Carnell Tate. Check. Carnell Tate. He's got a helmet. He wears a helmet. Yeah, he does wear a helmet. He's from the Ohio State University. Oh, okay. That's all I need to know. First round pick. We're locked in. Hall of Famer. But pretty self-explanatory. Really good player. And for the Saints, pair him up with Olave. Yes, sir. Ruben Bain Jr. This is one of those picks that the heavens are all lining up. The dreams have come true. A dream has come true. Raymond Borg. The Ruben Bain. I love hockey, by the way. That's probably my second favorite sport. I mean, I love to play basketball, but anyway, football was where it's at for sure. Ruben Bain Jr., great pick for the Chiefs here. Yeah, that's nothing to. Yeah, the critics can talk about his short arms. I don't care. Caleb Downs, I think this is his floor. Maybe it depends, right? If there's any sort of like degenerate, I can't say it. Caleb Downs, if there's any sort of things with his knee that are more, in line, then you got to look at that. But Downs in that safety position is just too big of a need for the Bengals to ignore. Ooh, what's this? New York Times hint. Ingredients that make Padron agave. I have no idea. I don't drink, so I haven't drank since I was underage. I know FBI are really on me now for this episode. They're coming after me. But once I turn 21, you don't drink. You know what I'm saying? Once it's legal, it's like, I'm done. I'll stick to my water. Miami Dolphins here, or maybe some grape juice, right? Get some Welch's action up in there if you want to spice up your life a little bit. Dolphins, Monroe Freeling, tackle from Georgia. Oh, hold on. Oh, okay. Freeling would be a building block. Man, let me read this here. Freeling would be a building block for a new general manager, John Eric Sullivan, looking to revamp the roster. Okay. I'm processing this because Austin Jackson's had a lot of injuries, and that's something he is going to a contract year as well. Freeling could even play guard early on for this football team. Now, you would have to move Freeling over to right tackle more than likely. I'm not saying that he can't do it, but that is always something you have to consider. Is like, okay, do we feel comfortable with moving a guy over and all those sort of things? But Freeling's a super athletic guy, and a lot of times with the athletic guys, I'm a little more comfortable doing stuff like that. But it is definitely something you have to look at. A lot of upside with Freeling. I still like Proctor over Freeling, but at the same time, like Freeling, yes, I see this guy and I'm like, okay, this is somebody that I think is going to be a high level starter as long as he puts the work in and all those sort of things. He's got the traits you're oozing for there at the left tackle position, or in this case, the right tackle position for them in the future. Very unique pick right there from Dane. That's why you come over to the Dane mock drafts, right? Cowboys go a Mansour Delane to go get themselves a Monsoon, a cornerback help. Oh, he reminds him of Maurice Claiborne. A little interesting comp right there. If history of the franchise, the Cow. Oh, he was only talking about that. I can't read sometimes, clearly. But Delane doesn't have elite size or speed. And yeah, he didn't run the 40, but he'll probably go to his pro day there. Outstanding field for coverage in man and zone, sure. And Delane would kind of you'd move Bland back into the slot in that case scenario. The only argument I have against this is I feel like Christian Parker and then the defensive coordinator is going to be looking for more of like a slot archetype tough safety in there. And I don't know if Bland fits that mold. I mean, not to say that he can do that, and that's certainly an option for them. So you'd have have Delane, and then you'd have a Revel on the outsides, and then put Bland in the slot. However they want to do it. If this is the best player available on the board, which you can make the argument he is, then you just go ahead and lock that in. You figure that secondary situation out later down the line. And I think another way to look at this one too for the Cowboys is like if one of those top pass rushers is there, or like Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, and that's kind of like a run to the table moment, right? We go into the Rams here. Oh, and also I did take a look. I took a sneak peek. I tried to not to look at any of the picks if I could, but I went down to 29. This was before. It must have been right before because this came out and right in that time frame of that Chiefs trade. So the Trent McDuffie situation, we'll kind of take that into account here. Avion Terrell will basically say, kind of want to work a roundabout way of that, and we can say, maybe you look at Mekhi Lemon here, or you look at a Dylan Thieneman, or I mean, there's different options this team could go. They have a lot of different possibilities on how they could approach this pick here. But my guess would be like a wide receiver or a safety are very much in play for the Rams here at 13. I could see them going in a lot of different ways, though. It wouldn't shock me if Les Snead, kind of pulls a rabbit out of the hat here. And then we go on to 14, the Baltimore Ravens, Vega Ioane from Penn State, the guard, who they can clearly use an upgrade here, especially if they lose out on Tyler Lindenbaum in free agency, which would be kind of wild to me. Now, what I will say here is uh, I'm guessing they're going to try to let Emory Jones be one of those starting guards. Maybe he ends up being that right guard. Vega might, in this case scenario, I guess your competition would be between Voorhees and Jones, and then Vega would be one of your day one starters, obviously, in that case scenario, if you're taking him here at 14. That is something you have to keep an eye on. Or maybe you say, all right, Vega, we're going to put you in at center, or Voorhees, well, we're going to put you in at center. Those are all possibilities, too. I mean, Voorhees has played pretty much everywhere. Maybe he could do some of that sort of stuff. But that's something you do have to take a look at is like Emory Jones is your hope is that you spent a third round pick on him and he can be one of your starters next season. And then we go on to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kenyon Sadiq. Yeah, Jason Light isn't necessarily going to target a tight end with the top 15 pick, but yeah, he goes with the best player available, and that's kind of their whole thing is they just say to themselves, look, it doesn't matter. We're gonna take guys that are just good football players, and Sadiq is a good football player, and he's a freak athlete, man, right? I mean, a 4.39 jumps out the gym. He's got Vernon Davis type numbers, not as big as Vernon, so maybe Vernon Davis's numbers are still a little bit more impressive overall. Overall, Sadiq is certainly a top tier talent, and I think he's going to be an impact for them in another receiving threat, especially if Mike Evans walks out the door. Then, hey, I mean, don't rule out anything here, right? Hey, that's tough to lose Mike Evans. It really is. The Jets, Mekhi Lemon. Yes. Oh, man, let's go. I'm pumped up now. That's what I'm. DNA. Let's get that DNA technology. It sounds like we're on Madden right now. The Scorpion or Sapien technology or something. It just sounds weird. The sapien technology up in Madden, but the DNA. That's what they're going to talk about next year on the cover of Madden. Will probably like DNA technology 3.0, 3.1.3.0. Our new DNA technology now features live exoskeleton movements from the past to the present. Micaiah Lemon be a great pick. I would love this one so happy. I would be ecstatic if we got ecstatic. Wow, that's a big word for me. But Micaiah Lemon and Norvell Reese, yeah, we got some popcorn. We got a player to watch with some popcorn. We got a couple of beasts there. Detroit Lions, they go get Caden Proctor. The return of Taylor, the return of the Mac. I know he'll be back, hopefully, but he gives them that at least it's not a code red alert now situation, but it's definitely still something like they have to draft and start looking at. And as he mentions here, he lists them at guard slash tackle. With the release of Graham Glass now, they could easily put Proctor in up there at guard and then have either Mahogany or Ratledge go in there and compete at center and figure that sort of situation out. They have to improve the offensive line. They cannot go into next season with no backup plan. In other words, Decker. I mean, I believe in him, but at the same time, we need to make sure we at least have that future in check. Hey, if Proctor's on the bench the entire season because of they're all five offensive linemen are healthy throughout the entire offseason this season, great. That's a great news, right? But I just think that's very unlikely. Dylan Thieneman, safety Oregon. This kind of seems almost like Thieneman's floor at this point. Great combine, great tape. What else is there to say about this guy? He's a first round prospect. It's hard to find anything bad with the T-Man. Yeah, the T-Man from Westfield, Indiana. Let's go. That's where I'm from. I mean, I was born in Tampa, but grew up here. Westfield High. You know how it goes. We rock up here. The 46074 is zip code, right? You guys can hunt me down now. I will find you and I will mock draft you, right? That's what you're gonna be telling me. Maybe something different, right? But anyway, come at me, man. I'm the toughest dude you'll ever meet. I'm not really, but Dylan Thieneman would be a great pick here for the Vikings. On to at least you got to play it that way. You got to tell people you're the toughest guy in the world. That way they think you're just crazy, and then you're like, I'm not gonna mess with this guy because he's too stupid. Carolina reverse psychology, right? That's what they call it. I guess I'm a psychologist now. I did take that one class. I fell asleep like every day in class. Carolina Panthers, Akeem Mesidor. We get the capes out here. Where's the red on? They get themselves a talented pass rusher. The Hurricane, the Ring of Honor isn't going to draft the Miami Hurricane because the alma mater, true, with Dan Morgan. That's a good, I didn't even think about that, but that does make a lot of little connections out there. But Mesidor would beef up the pass rush with Nick Gordon. I like that one a lot. I like that pick. Dallas Cowboys go get Keldrick Falk. Does seem like the type of player that they're going to look at who could play a little like 4-eye, 5-tech for them in that defensive front. And their 3-4 defensive linemen could play a little base end in many ways. In their base nickel packages, they're going to probably play like 60 or 70% of the time anyway. But Folk would be a nice opposite pairing in that case scenario to what you have in Ezeraku. Wouldn't shock me if this ends up being the pick here for the Cowboys. Makes a lot of sense. He's got to put some pass rush tools on there with Folk, but certainly has all the talent. Omar Cooper. Oh, baby. He's over Jordan Tyson, too, which is crazy, but not at the same time. Like, I like Omar Cooper a lot. It wouldn't shock me, especially if the injury situation with Tyson is really as serious as we think possibly, but Cooper's a great football player. He really is. And for the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, quick striking offense, get the ball out quickly with Aaron Rodgers. That's what he did this season, at least. Cooper would be a great prospect for that. Like, he fits Rodgers' eye a lot more than DK Metcalf, in my opinion. And that's the only thing I would question is like, why'd you bring in DK Metcalf when I feel like Cooper is a lot more, a player like Cooper is a lot more of his eye, somebody that can get off the line quick and get open quick, like a Devontae Adams type who's got that release package. Jermon McCoy here for the Chargers, going to get themselves that corner who falls to 22. It just comes down to the injury situation. But this is one pick you're not going to see very often. And I don't disagree with this. Like, they need to add to their cornerback room. It is kind of a low-key need for the Chargers this offseason. It's not like a red alert sort of thing, but it's definitely something they have to start looking at. Dante Jackson's going into a contract year. Got like guys like Cam Hart. You got Tahib Still, pardon me, with the name pronunciation. I'm butchering that a little bit. Like, blah. But yeah, you got him. You got is Dean Leonard still on the roster there? Who else? They got somebody else I'm missing out there. But anyway, like they need to start, thinking about that cornerback room a little bit. And I could see McCoy. And it was something, especially down the stretch, that I thought was a little more of an issue for them too. So keep an eye out on that as a possibility for them. Man, there was a guy in preseason too that was really good that I liked. He's on the tip of my tongue. That's who I'm thinking about right now. But here we go again with the keyboard and all the Patron. Don't do this, kids, man. Stay away. Keep that Welch's in your hands. Philadelphia Eagles going with Max Hanachor from Arizona State, the tackle. Eagles go ahead and find that right tackle of the future, short-term insurance behind Lane Johnson, who's had some injuries at this point, and keeping a guy to develop in there is something that they've continued to do, whether it's not Cameron Johnson, Cameron Williams, right, from Texas. They've tried for sure. And whether they feel confident with one of those guys, we'll find out how confident they feel, right, in this draft. Because I think this could be a Howie Roseman special and trying to future proof that positioning. So important to what he does. And even a Hanachor could be a guy that could play guard early on if you have injuries, or if Landon Dickerson's injury situation's a little bit more troubling and all those sort of things. So a Hanachor could slide into one of those positions early on too for them. But a Hanachor is a great football player, so young to the game as well. And yes, I like that one. Perfect sort of addition into that offensive line. And then we go ahead and go on to the Cleveland Browns. Jordan Tyson falls to them. This is insane. If you get Spencer Fanu and Jordan Tyson, that is just like one of those things that you are a Cleveland Browns fan, you have got to be happy. You've got yourself really two great players, arguably some of the best offensive players in this entire draft. Yeah, you have to worry about some of the injury situation, but I have no problem taking him here at 24 for that risk. It's just too much. Even if he's only playing 12 to 14 games a season on average, I'll work with that. All right, well, we can work with that for the Browns. They need a top wide receiver who can catch the ball consistently. Peter Woods going to the Bears, great pick here for them. If Woods is available, like a penetrating three tech. Now, could they use a one tech along with this down the line? Yeah, sure. But you got Dexter, Woods. That's a strong combination that I'm not worried about. Grady Jarrett, of course, is still here and all those sort of things. But Billings, a guy that they could look at replacing down the line as he's gotten older and injuries have started to affect him quite a bit. He was I would say he was an underrated player before he got injured, kind of unfortunately has taken a stamp on him, and it's sad to see, but he's been a great player throughout the season. And I still think he could resurge a little bit, but maybe they move on from him this offseason, him being a free agent. Peter Woods, Dexter, that young core right there building, and you still have Grady in there. Denzel, I also could see them going after edge rusher. I think it just comes down to BPA between defensive tackle and edge rusher for the Bears. I mean, maybe you could start talking about linebacker here too, because if they move on from Edmonds, I wouldn't call running back here or anything like that. Center, maybe more of a day two type of thing, and depending on what they do in free agency. I know they're working out dash. On to the Buffalo Bills, going Denzel Boston, the receiver from Washington. They certainly could use another wide receiver, right? That's the big thing for Buffalo. They just have not had any really consistency at wide receiver. I mean, Shakir's been fine and whatnot, a really good slot option, yak threat, right? But do they have that outside weapon that can be, when the chips are down in the playoffs and tough games, be that guy for Josh Allen? And they just really haven't had that consistency wise. They've tried and tried, and Keon Coleman, maybe he can take a step next season, but for right now, that's not been working out. So Boston, maybe they can hit this time with him. Caleb Lomu, tackle Utah, great football player. And he's a guy where it's like he just kind of has the Garrett Bowles type of ability where I'm like, yeah, I could see this guy turning into a top 10 tackle at some point in the NFL. I do think he's going to take some time to get there, but maybe like 3 seasons, this guy could be a superstar for you. And give him a season behind Trent Williams, I don't mind that at all. Ty Simpson, Cardinals. I'm not on board with this one personally. I think that, I mean, if you're Houston, this is a great move. I mean, you get more draft capital. Why the heck not? Oh my gosh. But for the Cardinals, I think this is a little bit of a desperation move, and not one that I would make, because for the Cardinals, I do think they're in a spot where it's like they need to take their time and build this team. They are not in a rush to get a quarterback. If Simpson's there for you round 3, or you want to go with Drew Aller or Nussmeier, let that play out. Bring back Jacoby Brissett. Go into 2027 with a better built roster. Get your quarterback in that class where you're picking top 5 or whatever, and you have a chance at one of those quarterbacks. And I'm not just saying that because of the quarterback class and this and that. I just think from where they're at as a roster standpoint, it makes a lot more sense from a construction basis to retool this offseason, reset, put some things in, and go from there. Okay. And obviously new coaching staff coming in with LaFleur. Then we go on here. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that one. Rams, this is going to be the Chiefs. And they did make a note here saying this is a part of that trade package for Trent McDuffie. So, this would be something like now you're talking about the Chiefs looking at, let's say they go with their first pick, Ruben Bain. This pick, you could be looking at maybe a Colton Hood. You could be looking at a Chris Johnson. You could be looking at, let's see, a safety here. I mean, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, you start to get injured. Speaking of, there he goes. I made this pick actually before. We'll tell you that one in a second. But you could be looking at something like that. You could be looking at Casey Concepcion. Hey, you could just plug in Casey Concepcion for the Chiefs, and I could call that a day. That certainly is not a bad pick for them. So wide receiver, maybe right tackle. You never know, right? That's something to keep an eye out on there too. Anyway, keeping all those, there's definitely some positions they have to watch out for. And then we go Emmanuel McNeil Warren here, safety from Toledo to the Denver Broncos. As I mentioned, I like this one a lot. He would basically, Brandon Jones going to a contract year. Hufunga's also going to a contract year, I believe. So finding a long-term safety is kind of actually a low-key need for them. And that's why, I mean, I don't know if it's a first-round need unless they cut Brandon Jones. Then you start talking about, okay, it's a first-round need, and PJ Locke's a free agent too. So all those sort of things. I think Emmanuel McNeil Warren's a guy that fits the bill and the eye of what they're going to look for defensively wise. A guy that can play up top, but also has some physical presence to come down and make a tough tackle. And he's a big hitter as well. So all those things, man, he's a robber, man. He's a robber. He's going to be somebody that stick him up, man. Stick him up or you're going to get it because he's got that ability for sure. He's like the little Western Denzel Washington. Pew, pew, meets Clint Eastwood out here. Go ahead, make my day. I know what you're thinking, Bunk. You're thinking Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Toledo, Rocket? Oh, man, he's a rocket. New England Patriots going TJ Parker, edge rusher from Clemson. I'm still not this high on Parker. I think the NFL is going to be probably a little bit higher on Parker than I am, and that's okay. Parker's a good football player. I do think he's a little bit of like a one-trick pony, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that either. I feel like I'm getting my therapeutic voice on here, Tempur-Peutic style. But no, TJ Parker is a good football player. I just did question some of the ability because I was watching that tape, and I thought that Will Helt was better, in my opinion. So it is what it is. I mean, traits are there with Parker. He's got the size, got the length, and the Patriots could use another pass rusher. I like Cassius Hale a lot. I think he's a stud. On to the Seattle Seahawks, Brandon Cisse. He definitely fits the mold of the type of corner. I still haven't gotten around to watching full-on film of Brandon Cisse. I mean, I've watched some all-22 clips, and I've watched his highlights, and I've watched some games out here and there of some matchups like with KC Concepcion. I mean, I know what he looks like and what he runs like and how smooth he is. I think he reminds me a little bit like an AZ Thomas in many ways. I mean, he's different players. I think AZ's more of a upper right athlete, but I think Cisse is really smooth. I think he's one of those guys that can go across the field, like cover man across the field. He cover man across the field. It's that Yellowstone, right? It's coming out at me right now. But anyway, he certainly has that cowboy in him to be able to cover guys one-on-one, press man coverage. Seattle Seahawks with Witherspoon there on the outside, and then Eman Wari. Go back to South Carolina, right? They know a good thing about Gamecocks in that secondary, right? They've got a good one and building up right now. Second round action, right? We got day 2 in the horizon, and the New York Jets, CJ Allen. Okay, I'm cool with this one. I mean, I like Hosea Trotter a lot, but I also think CJ Allen's a great football player too. Anthony Hill, I'd say Hill is probably my number 2 linebacker. Trotter's maybe 3 from me. Rodriguez right there, number 3 too. Allen's probably 3, 4. I don't know, man. It's so tough. Like all those guys, it depends on what you're looking for too. If you're looking for a straight up run defender, I think Allen has to be number 2. He is phenomenal in that regard. If you're looking for more of a well-rounded linebacker, like zone cover guy, then I think Rodriguez fits that bill because I think he's just so instinctual while also being a good run defender. If you're looking for a hammer, like the hammer, if I'm talking lawyer style, Trotter's your guy. If you're looking for a sideline to sideline specimen, Anthony Hill's your guy, and a blitzer, dynamic blitzer. So you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just so hard to rank these guys because I like them all. I think they're all really good, and that's why I'm okay with this one. So long-winded answer, but I'm absolutely cool with this pick. Blake Miller, Clemson tackle, going to be that right tackle of the future after they traded down. I like this move here for the Texans. So you trade back a little bit. Obviously, you're getting more draft capital. They traded up for a quarterback. The Cardinals did. So I'm guessing that they got a pretty nice haul for this. I like this pick. I like this pick a lot. Blake Miller, plug and play right tackle. Yeah, he's an Iron Man too. He's got tons of starts behind his belt, and he's just gotten better and better each and every season. So that's a great pick, man. I'm telling you, don't ever these advertisements. They get you, man. They know me really, really well. I was looking at shoes, so I bought some barefoot shoes actually. So I've been doing that whole situation, right? Trying it out, strengthening my feet. And this is interesting because it was like I bought shoes like a month. It was for work too. I had to buy like all black shoes and all those sort of things. But I bought like some zeros or something like that off Amazon. So it knows my history. It's trying to sell me up on this little, whatever the oh yeah, these are the on clouds, right? I see people at work wearing these things. They got like these holes on the bottom of the I don't think I'd want to I don't know if I'd want to wear those. Those things I might get like little traps and things like that. People might start booby trapping or like hot foot, give me the hot foot or something like that. Might put a match up in there. So I don't think I would be able to trust people wearing those type of shoes. Oh my, why are my shoes on fire? Oh my gosh. Titans going Cassius Hal here, edge rusher, Texas A&M. Good player. I like him a lot, and this is a great ad here for Robert Saleh, getting himself that wide 9 rusher off the edge with that crazy ghost move and bend that he has. Oh, great fit from Dane. It's a great pick. I can't. Yeah. Okay, I'm done talking. That is just awesome. I love it. This is why Dane's amazing. Raiders go Colton Hood here from Tennessee, the cornerback, who's going to help lock down that secondary some. And they can figure it out. I mean, free agency, you got to get a slot corner too. And not to say Hood couldn't play in the slot, but I do think Hood's an outside corner and they could use help there. And obviously Stokes is a free agent too. So finding some help to go along with Porter and improving that secondary is a must. Jeremy Bernard for the Giants. Okay, I've not seen this one actually in a mock draft at all, but Jeremy Bernard had a really good combine. He's just a really well-rounded receiver, right? He's just another one of these guys that isn't like a blazer, but he can get open. He's a really good yak guy. He's tough over the middle of the field with his hands. I don't see how he's a kind of like a bust-proof type of wide receiver. I don't know if he's like a top flight. You need a number one, but like he's not your number one guy, but you got Malik Neighbors. I think he's going to be a high level like Reggie Wayne. He's like Marvin Harrison's Reggie Wayne, if I want to. And Reggie Wayne is a great wide receiver. And I don't want to discredit because he can be a number one and all those sort of things. But I think like those two guys make each other better. And that's kind of the way I would feel about Bernard and Neighbors, those two guys. I like that. That's a fun pick. And then we go on to the Houston Texans going Kaden McDonald with their next second-round pick. Great pick here. He's one of the better players on the board, I would feel like, at this moment. And they give themselves a stud interior player who kind of fits that D'Amico Ryans mold of a tough-nosed, hard, mofo up on that defensive interior. They can slide up and down up there. He's going to be more of a one tag, but he can fill in for like a settle. Or even if they end up losing out on Rankins this offseason, you got him and Tommy Togiai. Then we go on to the Browns here, and they get D'Angelo Ponce. Yes. I love this one. Drop him in nickel. Yeah, I think I did this one in my mock draft, actually, too. So you would plug in right there. You have Ward, and then you have Tyson on the outside. Great pick for the Browns. That's a fire. Browns are having the best mock draft, I feel like, thus far. You get Tyson at 24. You get Fanu at 6, and now you get Ponce at 39. That is they're having a great draft. They're having another elite draft here for Andrew Barry in this case scenario. Chiefs go with Chris Brazzell, the second from Tennessee. Now, I'm not as high on Chris Brazzell, but I will say he's going to be a vertical threat. If you lose out on Tyquan Thornton, then he would fit that bill, right? And I think he'd be an upgrade in that case scenario and on a rookie contract. So that all makes sense. I still have Brazzell as more of a third-round guy because I feel like you can find from some field stretchers, especially, with some size and whatnot. That was it. Jeff Caldwell is a dude to watch out for in that field stretching role. There are some dudes out there that I think can give you that in round 3, round 4 range a little bit easier. Not to say Brazzell's not a good wide receiver. He can't do more than just that, but I do think that's going to be more or less his game. Who else would I look at here? If you want to, throw out some receivers, Mekhi Fields is still available, and I think he'd be a great option too for the Chiefs as like a bigger, tougher catch receiver that also has some route running nuance. Like that's kind of the way that I would look at it here. And do we go on Zion Young to the Bengals, getting some more edge talent? I still believe they should go out in free agency and get some edge players. Like that's my opinion, and I would rather spend this pick maybe on a safety, especially with some of the guys that are still available. I mean, you got Kamari Ramsey available. You got Genesis Smith available. You've got AJ Halsey on the board. And I mean, maybe you say, all right, we can get one of those guys in the third round and we get somebody here. We can go after a defensive tackle, possibly Lee Hunter, I believe, still on the board here. That would be somebody who kind of be like their I mean, he could end up basically being like a replacement for Slayton down the line, who they can move on from soon if they needed to. A lot of options on the table. Right? On here to the Saints, where they go get R. Mason Thomas, edge rusher from Oklahoma, good edge rusher, and he's another one of these guys that's got some speed and got some bend the corner. Right, that's his game for sure. And you put him in there with Chase Young and obviously Cameron Jordan, depending on what happens there. But long term wise, Mason and then Chase Young, that's a good combo. And Granderson's a guy to watch out for and keeping an eye on what he ends up doing. But I think in terms of scheme fit, he just isn't really a scheme guy of Brandon Staley. I think R. Mason Thomas makes a lot more sense in that role. So finding a core of Chase Young and R. Mason Thomas, I think that's a really, really good complementary skill set right there and fits the bill and what Brandon Staley is looking for from these edge guys. Davison Igabenosin here from Ohio State, the Ohio State University, going to the Dolphins. They have had a nice little draft here of getting yourself a future right tackle and then David Igabenosin at corner to get themselves somebody on the outside because they certainly need to go that route. But I will say this. I'm really high on Chris Johnson and the Jets. I love it. Yes, Dane, you are the man. I'm so okay. I got to keep talking about I got to remain professional. No, let's go. No, I hate that word professional. Ugh, it's like a slimy word to me. I think it's one of the worst words out there. I don't know. Unprofessional. That's the only word I like to use. I just think a professional is like people don't even understand what that means sometimes. You know what I mean? I think it's just like, oh, it's you're like a suit guy, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I rebel against that sort of thing. Don't get me crossing up on my bridge, man. I got the trains rolling at you. It's coming at whole spy 5 speed Japan style, man. A bullet train. Starring Brad Pitt. But going back to the action at hand here, Igabenosin, great player, another dinosaur name, just like Ihanachor. It's like they're like the dinosaur species in this draft. Jets, though, they get themselves a corner. I love what the Jets were able to do with this mock. I completely agree, man. I think this is a fantastic mock. And if the Jets are able to snag in Lemon, Reese, Allen, and then Chris Johnson, a party's going to be thrown. You're going to be seeing me doing some crazy stuff. I might do a backflip, all right? I might get up on the stream here and start backflip and break my back. And, well, you'll see me in the hospital, but that'll be pretty fire to me. Ravens go Caleb Banks, defense. Who's still on the board? I forgot about that. Anyway, this is a dream pick here for the Ravens. Oh my gosh. They need defensive tackle up really, really bad. So you get yourself a guard on the interior there in the first, and then you go into the interior in the second round and get yourself a stud in Caleb Banks. 35-inch arms, really good athlete. Injuries are going to be a big question for him, so totally understand why he could slip a little bit in the draft. Malachi Lawrence. This guy's he's a baller. He is an absolute baller. I don't know. He looks a little bit like Will Anderson. He reminds me a little bit of like a Will Anderson type of build. And certainly a guy that I could see him being a top 10 edge rusher. Like the tools are all there for him to be a top 10 edge rusher in the NFL. I no cap. I'm not capping anything, not even on my drink or nothing. Like the cap's on. And I'm saying that with a straight face. Look at me in the eyes. See these eyes? You want to know how I got these eyes? I don't know. How did I get them? From childbirth. That's how. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Well, I guess it does make sense, right? That's the phenomenon, right? Oh man, it's true. I'm teaching you science stuff out here. Bill Nye the Science Guy, G Sling the Crazy Guy, Malachi Lawrence, great pick for the Bucks. Countering machine with those hands, those Jackie Chan arms. He's like the pew pew. Jake Goulday here is going to be a nice little linebacker for the Colts. I like that one a lot, and they need to find a long-term linebacker situation in there, and makes a lot of easy. That's an easy pick for me to look at and say, yeah, I'm spitting everywhere. I think I was throwing water or something like that. I don't know what I'm happening over here, but anyway, that's a good pick for the Colts. And then the Atlanta Falcons going Christian Miller, defensive tackle from Georgia. Yeah, okay, interesting move here. I mean, I would actually like Lee Hunter a little bit better. I don't mind him going defensive tackle, but I will say Miller, not to say he couldn't play nose, because that's what he did at Georgia a lot. Like he can hold the point of attack. I still think Miller could be a guy that can also play a little 3-tech because he has some juice to him. Now they play a little variable front, so maybe he fits that bill a lot. But I do think if they're looking for more of a traditional like nose tackle up on that front, Lee Hunter might be a little bit better in that regard to go along with like a a Dorless, and all those guys. And then yeah, so that'd be kind of my view on it. But anyway, yeah, I still don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I mean, corner, wide receiver, all in play here too for the Falcons. Lee Hunter for the Vikings. This is one where I could see them going after this because they still have to continue to bolster that defensive line. I mean, yes, you got Redmond, who looks like a young stud and whatnot. Levi Drake Rodriguez looks like another young player. You got Tyron Dawkins, kind of a hybrid player out there. Jonathan Allen's getting a little bit older now, and they're going to move on from Hargrave. So continue to bolster that defense tackle is certainly something to monitor and keep an eye out on. I also could see them, looking at a corner here. I mean, they went safety with Dylan Thieneman in the first round. I could see them going running back. Jadarian Price makes a lot of sense too because Aaron Jones, they move on from him. So keep an eye out on something like that. Dennis Sutton, edge rusher from Penn State, close to home in this case scenario. I'm still not this high on Sutton, but he's a really good athlete and he's still a good player. I would say more third round for me. Third, fourth round is where I'd feel comfortable, especially if you get a fourth round, then I feel really good about that. I would still be higher on guys like Gabe Akis, or let me think, who's still available right now? I feel like I'm missing some guys that are still on the board currently, but we'll have to keep an eye on some dudes that I'm missing. But Sutton, certainly not a bad football player that they can come in there and be that number 2 guy with Aiden Hutchinson. They need an edge rusher, so I don't have a problem with that. Are we going to Jacob Rodriguez, Texas Tech? Oh, great pick. Great pick, Carolina. I'm speculating here, but I think this is fair to say that Rodriguez is the type of linebacker that Morgan would generally appreciate. And I believe Dan Morgan was a former linebacker, right? He was a former linebacker. So, yeah, he's got to, look at the guys that are instinctive, toughness, right? He's a solid enough athlete. He doesn't have big time size, but he's a really good mover, man. The thing about Rodriguez, while he may not be a flyer, he may not be a sideline to sideline like Anthony Hill splash, Sonny Styles sort of thing. He is so buttery smooth in his movements. You see him in the drills, just the way his feet were like dancing around there, man. He's just got like this, and I gotta like talk about it real low because it's just like, whew, man, those feet, man. They're like little floppers out there. Just like little smooth fluttering feet, man. They're pretty fun out there. So I think Rodriguez is just extremely fluid and all around a great football player. I love that pick there to go along with Wallace. Then we got Emmanuel Pregnon here from Oregon to the Packers. Makes a lot of sense. Continue to improve the interior offensive line for the Packers. It was a downgrade for them and something that, I mean, it got better when Ryan got in there. Like the run game got better at least, but Pregnon would certainly add some beef up into there. And between free agents and Jenkins getting older now, what they want to do with that contract. And then, of course, Ryan's a free agent. So they got to figure some things out there. Trading Stooks. I'm glad Stooks. It's great to see Stooks up here for the Steelers. Stooks Lilly would be kind of like their Minka Fitzpatrick replacement in this case scenario. Well, I mean, he's not. I mean, he could play safety too, and they played Minka a lot in the back end. But Stooks would come into the slot. Jalen Ramsey. Now, the only thing I would say, I mean, I guess he'd be a long-term Jalen Ramsey type of replacement in this kid. But Stooks is a physical, athletic specimen that makes tons of crazy good plays. Stooks has been an underrated player for I feel like years in college football, so I'm glad he's getting some love. That Arizona defense in general, I mean, Dalton Johnson's a stud. They've got some guys up in there. Gabe Akis to the Eagles here. I was just talking about him not too long ago about the Lions and stuff. Akis, a great football player. I could see Tampa Bay going after him. He's already said, I want to go to Tampa Bay. Well, this is not too, it's a little far, I guess, from it. But Akis, great player and somebody that Vic Fangio get themselves another edge rusher here. Now, Akis dropping into coverage, that's a good question. He'd be more of their base guy, I figure. Chargers get Jace Basantes. This is a popular mock draft pick. I get Basantes is there for the Chargers. I think that just makes too much sense. Plug and play, starter up on that guard position. They need a guard. They need a center. Jaguars, Keith Abney, the second. Arizona. He's still on the board. I totally forgot about that. Jags go get themselves another stud corner. I mean, hey, that allows Travis Hunter to continue to play a part-time role. Hopefully you bring back Busta. That'd be great. So if you bring back Busta, you'd have Abney, you'd have Jarian Jones, you'd have Hunter. Obviously, Lewis in the slot. Ransaw would be at safety up there with Anthony Johnson. Great secondary you're building right there. Halsey to the Bears with Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker both hitting free agency. Safety, key need for them. Absolutely, right. They need somebody that can, and yeah, he's got some similarities. I don't think he's as good as Byard coming as an athlete, but he's definitely got the playmaking instincts that Byard has. So I do like that little comparison in a sense. Chris Bell, yeah, 49ers, a shock. You know what I mean? Like he's the Debo Samuel of this draft class, right? I mean, there's always going to be a Debo Samuel comp. I wonder when that's actually going to fizzle out at some. And now we do with the Puka Nakua comps, right? But anyway, good fit. It's a good fit. They need a wide receiver too. Gennings Dunker to the Houston, double dipping the O line. You could get yourself some maulers up in here now with Dunker. So you got maybe your right side of the offensive line figured out. Dunker. I mean, if Ed Ingram's back, you could keep him at right guard, and you could have Dunker at left guard. Either which way, you got Blake Miller at right tackle, Dunker at one of those guard positions. Jake Andrews, you're number 2 in the scheme. Makes a lot of sense for them. Derek Moore to the Buffalo Bills, the Michigan edge rusher, brings some more fierceness, some more speed, power off the edge, kind of like a replacement for Von Miller there. Landon Jackson, his injury situation, it could force them to taking another edge rusher in the second round. It wouldn't be shocking there. Maybe they go on free agency or do something like that. Or maybe you just look for a DPR, maybe like a Romello Height in round 3, round 4. There's a possibility too. All those scenarios to keep in mind. They need offensive line. They could use, let's see, a linebacker. They got a wide receiver in the first round, so there's that. But those are some other areas to watch out for the Bills. Rams, Keontae Scott. Um, Scott would play more of a safety role in this case scenario for them because you got Quentin Lake, who's your starting slot. Scott, unless they want to play Quentin more at safety, and that's a possibility too. That would be the only thing I would have to ask Brugler, like, what does he see Scott? Does he see him more as a safety, or does he see Clinton Lake going back into the safety? Those are all some things you have to kind of keep an eye out on there for the Rams. And then we got Denver Broncos going Eli Stowers, Vanderbilt. He's going to be that joker here for Sean Payton. There's no doubt about that. I like that fit. I do. I think that's actually one of those where it makes a lot of sense for Denver. They would put Stowers in the right positionings to succeed. He would be able to develop and be that number 2 guy behind Evan Ingram for a season, or if they moved on from him, if Stowers was just balling out, I could see them trading him and then just going with Stowers and being the guy, right? And I could see him having like a Harold Fanning type of early impact with his yak ability and athleticism. And finishing up this mock draft here with 2 Notre Dame guys. You got Malachi Fields to the Patriots and then Jadarian Price to the Seattle Seahawks. I would almost say at this point, Jadarian Price, his floor is probably Seattle. I don't see how he makes it past that point. I'm shocked the Vikings, he didn't go with the Vikings there, but Price, certainly a really good running back. It is sometimes hard, putting running backs and drafts and all those sort of things. But I think Price is certainly a guy that's he's in that conversation up there towards the middle, at least portion of the second. Malachi Fields to the Patriots makes a lot of sense with them cutting Stephon Diggs. They need some guys. They need some more playmakers. Now, your hope would be that Kyle Williams is ready to take that next step. You got Booty, but yeah, I mean, they still could use some playmakers there on the outside. So that wouldn't shock me. Maybe A.J. Brown is another possible landing spot for A.J. That could make a lot of sense, too. Wouldn't be shocking. A real little reunite with Vrabel out here. Anyway, Fields would be a really good pick. I think that's a great value, too, on Malachi Fields here at 63. That's a run to the table type of moment. But that is it here for Dane Brugler's mock draft. Let me know what you think. Agree or disagree on his picks and all that sort of stuff. Or if you disagree with my my little analysis, right? My little psychological takes. Psychological? I don't psychological. Yeah, we're gonna use psychological up in here. But anyway, keep it coolin', and I'll talk to you guys later. I'm gonna try to bring maybe another mock draft. I got the Rams up next too for a team individual mock draft, so they should be really, really soon. And then yeah, I want to do another mock draft maybe with some trades too. I'm really feeling it right now with some mock drafts, and it's been a lot of fun. So. And who knows what else news is going to come out here real soon. Be ready to swipe, right? But anyway, I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you real, real soon.